Hello everyone, this is our group's presentation and we chose the company LVMH. Through the video, me and my group mates will present you a great analysis of it. We basically separate our whole presentation into 4 parts: introduction, socialization and culture, organizational structure, and plus a very brief conclusion. First, the introduction. The company LVMH, commonly known as Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton, is a French holding multinational corporation engaged in the design, manufacture, and sales of luxury products worldwide. LVMH was formed in 1987 through the merger of fashion house Louis Vuitton with Moet Hennessy, and in 2021, with a valuation of $329 billion. LVMH became the most valuable company in Europe. The company has 6 branches of its business, which my group mates would elaborate on that later. Fashion group, wines and spirits, perfumes and cosmetics, watches and jewelry, selective distribution, and other activities. The company LVMH controls around 60 subsidiaries. Some of the most famous brands include Christian Dior, Fendi, and Givenchy.
In terms of social and environmental responsibility, the chairman and CEO of LVMH Group believes that their position as a leader entails going further than simply meeting standards. In recent years, the LVMH Group has been more deeply involved in the development of curricular economy and socialization. The COVID-19 pandemic not only magnified this change, but also showed new ways of using the group production line. For example, the perfume brands from LVMH Group reuse their production units and produce a lot of sanitizers in a record time. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has also made the group more aware of the importance of its relationship with nature. All employees of LVMH Group hope that their products can reflect and express respect for the environment. Life 360 is the new environmental performance roadmap plan for the LVMH Group in the future. It is an initiative with targets and timelines which is designed to build up a new alliance between nature and creativity. The main value is to produce in harmony with nature that respect and preserve the variety of life in the world and the climate. This Life 360 plan is engaging and motivating all stockholders. LVMH regarded as important in creating products in harmony with nature. The group also will draw on its creativities to make packaging with a target of zero plastic by 2026. All crew of LVMH Group who will assume functions and responsibilities by years 2030 will receive environmental training. LVMH also plans to come to 100% of group new products will result from co-design at the same year. The group will attach importance of recycling system and share emerging materials among internal brands. At the same time, based on the durability concept of luxury goods, the group will help brands establish the products maintenance services. It is also considered to replace aircraft with shipping and use electric vehicles to transport goods in the future. On the base of Life 360 plan, LVMH and the non-profit environmental protection organization Canopy launched a cooperation with the purpose of protecting forest resources. LVMH promises that by the end of 2022, its supply chain will no longer use ancient and endangered forests from the world. It will influence its own supply chain to protect the remaining forests and habitats of the endangered species in the world. Sephora and LVMH beauty brands have launched virtual volunteer programs to encourage employees to contribute their skills to local communities. Several brands of LVMH Group donated the profits of goods sold during the epidemic to nursing homes seriously affected by the epidemic all over the world. LVMH also donated to research institute to develop a new coronavirus vaccine and treatment protocol. LVMH has demonstrated its firm determination of social responsibility and acted together with all employees of the group to deal with multiple social and environmental challenges.
In 2020, the world suffered due to a serious global pandemic. LVMH also showed a great social responsibility and has been actively engaged to help battle the spread of the virus. Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, and some other subsidiaries have begun making or supporting production of or distribution of large quantities of alternative non-surgical face masks to help protect against contamination. In addition, Louis Vuitton is making gowns for frontline hospital workers in Paris hospitals, which face a serious shortage of protective clothing. And in US, the company has also donated more than 25,000 face masks to several New York hospitals. The company is a large company with over 100,000 employees all over the world. So diversity is one of the most important components of the company culture. LVMH affirms a commitment to a diverse workforce. Through the picture, we can also say that most of employees are from Europe, France, United States, and Asia. Diverse employees at LVMH scored the company 85 out of 100 across various cultures, placing LVMH in the top 5% of companies for diversity score. The diversity score provides insights into how diverse employees feel and rate their work experience at LVMH across various culture dimensions. The company encourages the professional development of women in all positions and at every level of the organization through a variety of initiatives. A very surprising fact is that nearly 73% of employees of LVMH are women. LVMH is focusing on equal rights. From the year 2007 to 2020, the percentage of women in key positions at LVMH rose from 23% to 42%.
LVMH has created an extraordinary ecosystem that helps to bring together 172 nationalities from 80 different countries with an average age of 33.75% of its employees being post-O's. During the pandemic, from April 21st to 27th, 2019, several LVMH brands took part in a charity auction launched by fashion journalists. The profit of the auction were donated to the Research Alzheimer Foundation's SOS Avoid initiative to help nursing homes particularly affected by the new coronavirus. These service industries are indispensable partners for many of LVMH's wine and spirits brands, especially in the promotion of their products. To help them through these difficult times, LVMH is giving back to these partners for their generosity throughout the year. Since the outbreak of the new coronavirus crisis, LVMH and its house have been actively involved in helping to combat the spread of the virus. I have both begun producing or supporting the production or distribution of a large number of replacement non-surgical masks to help prevent contamination, as well as to help hospitals to prevent the disease. With the COVID-19 pandemic now raging around the world, LVMH needs to change its corporate culture appropriately to reduce the company's investment in luxury goods and to retain mainly basic innovation and production. People have no desire to consume and add some craft expeditions that meet the regulations of epidemic prevention to help partners and to ensure that they can resume business after the pandemic is over. In addition, unused employee apartments can be rented out as quarantine places, which can reduce the company's loss to enhance the company's social responsibility and to inspire employees to burst into better creativity. A world-class corporation should have charitable responsibilities. At this stage, the world is in a state of stagnation, and it is important to develop social undertakings, such as education, healthcare, and social security, which directly determines social stability. Many places do not invest enough or cannot afford to invest in the development of social undertakings, which requires the mobilization of all the capital that can be mobilized. Enterprises should give full play to their capital advantages and to make external donations for the development of social undertakings, and to be a good corporate citizen. We support the development of community education, health, humanistic care, culture and art, urban construction, and other projects to help our communities improve their public environment and volunteer for community services. An enterprise with an excellent sense of social responsibility, the social orientation formed by such an enterprise is a kind of spiritual encouragement to its employees, which is bound to mobilize and stimulate their enthusiasm, initiativity, and creativity, and to provide long-term, inexhaustible power for the development of the enterprise. Thank you.
Now, we're going to move on to part 3, organizational structure. Here, we're going to describe the structure of our organization using concepts such as division of labor, span of control, formalization, and departmentation. We're also going to discuss, is this structure appropriate at the present time given COVID-19? And we'll also further discuss if the company decides to expand, how will it affect the structural characteristics? Let's talk about division of labor first. The purpose of dividing labor is to achieve organizational effectiveness by having everyone specializing and focusing on their respective task group. There are 2 basic dimensions to the division of labor, a vertical dimension and a horizontal dimension. For vertical division of labor, LVMH reflects its big employee base by having a rather complex model. It ranges from the board of directors all the way down to interns and salesmen. A point to note here is that the top level of the board of directors only combines to a total of around 15 members. And same applies to the executive committee, which is a level right below the board of directors. However, as we gradually move down the vertical graph, the employee base expands exponentially. The total number of employees from LVMH reaches 150,000 with 22,000 new hires in 2020 alone. The number of employees continues to increase even under the pandemic. This shows the significant amount of employees that LVMH has at the bottom level of the vertical division of labor. Another point to note is that within each level, it can be further broken down. For example, the executive committee can be further broken down into chairman, group director, and individual department director. And other levels can all be broken down into more levels from general to departments and to individuals. For horizontal division of labor, LVMH shows a more direct model as it has a clear division with its departments. Of course, with such big operation scale, there are a lot of small and specific departments that exist. However, all these small departments circle around the 5 major departments and sector in LVMH: wines and spirits, fashions and leather goods, perfume and cosmetics, watches and jewelries, as well as selective retailing. This also touches on the departmentation part of this question. As we can see, LVMH implements product departmentation and form departments on a basis of a particular product line. This is beneficial for large-scale firms like LVMH, as it can allow better coordination among specialists and also allow LVMH to respond to customers in a timely way, which proves to be a challenge for a lot of firms over time. Now, we're going to discuss how will the structural characteristics be affected if LVMH decides to expand. As LVMH is already a really large firm to begin with, problems associated with diseconomies of scales might occur if the company decides to further expand. Based on Comparably, a reputable online forum for employees to leave reviews for firms that they work for, LVMH manager got a C- from employees, while the executive team got a C. LVMH also got a rating of only C+ for the category happiness, which is mediocre at best. These unsatisfying ratings given by former and current employees from the lower management levels can be caused by a lack of guidance and support from superior. After all, the employee base is enormous for LVMH, and it is almost impossible to cater every single employee's needs. Now, if LVMH decides to further expand, the company structure will be stretched even flatter, with the span of control being even larger, as the new salesmen employed will likely outnumber the new managers employed, meaning that a larger number of employees will be supervised by a manager. This will lead to a more complex divisional labor model and lead to more employee neglections, causing lower average labor productivity, all being effects of diseconomies of scales. In order to prevent these negative effects from impacting the structure, LVMH can consider prioritizing the hiring of managers over salesmen. This can allow a more balanced structure with less differentiation on the gap between the number of workers for upper management and lower management. A management team can also be developed to closely monitor the progress of expansion, as well as actively receiving feedbacks from employees, especially those working at the lower management level. This can alleviate the effects brought by diseconomies of scales from the expansion and make sure the changes in the structural characteristics will not affect the firm in a negative way.
The span of control is the number of employees supervised by a manager. With such a large operation, the organizational structure stretches pretty far both horizontally and vertically. As mentioned, the number of employees of each level increase exponentially as we go down the levels of organizational structure. So, it is reasonable that LVMH will have a flatter organization on the lower management level and a taller organization on the upper management level. LVMH is a decentralized organization, meaning that the decision-making power is allocated throughout the hierarchy and across departments. During these unprecedented times, this is a very smart structure. Decentralization leads to stronger management. A study was compiled factoring the uncertainty of supply and demand at multiple different locations. They found something called the risk diversification effect, which occurs when inventory is held at different warehouses under a decentralized organization. What this means is when a disturbance or disruption happens, the impact of that said disturbance is reduced. A decentralized organization is an excellent idea for LVMH because it allows managers to make their own decisions, and that reduces time and monetary costs. Typically, we see decentralization in firms that have multiple locations where employees interact with customers. LVMH stores are scattered across the world, making autonomy a very strong benefit compared to waiting on one person's decision. Due to the pandemic, LVMH has closed off its in-person locations. In 2020, profits declined by 28%, but in 2021, revenues were up by 53%. According to the CEO, Bernard Arnault, A major contributor to the success was due to the team's creativity. A decentralized organization provides autonomy, leading to more brainpower, which in turn leads to creativity. Thus, one can see the concept of decentralization reduces costs, speeds up decision-making processes, and increases creativity. This structure is appropriate at the present time, given the pandemic, and LVMH should continue with it. LVMH is a massive company, and as a result, it has a big organizational structure. There are a lot of vertical and horizontal divisions, making LVMH use a lot of labor. However, it is a decentralized organization, which comes with a lot of benefits, especially for a big organization. A lot of the managers can make their own decisions without notifying the CEO, and this saves a lot of time and resources, especially in the pandemic where markets are already slowed down. These managers can also pitch in and try out their own ideas. If successful, the whole company benefits, and if it fails, the impact is minuscule because of the size of the company. This structure is beneficial during the pandemic because you have communication, which leads to more teamwork in a period where people are isolated.
LVMH is a well-organized company with intact internal structure and has made plenty of contributions to the society during the pandemic. But there are still some aspects need to improve. Our group has added the citation page on the end of the slides. And in the end, thank you for listening.